We are focusing on paragraph 7 of the Texas 1-4 family residential contract, which covers property condition and inspections, a heavily tested area on the Texas real estate exam. The most critical component for a buyer under this paragraph is the termination option. If the buyer pays an option fee, they purchase the unrestricted right to terminate the contract within a negotiated number of days. Exam questions will test your understanding of this right. For example, a buyer has a 10-day option period and the inspection reveals several issues. The buyer can terminate for any reason at all, even if the issues are minor, as long as they provide written notice to the seller by 5 p.m. on the final day of the option period. A common exam trap is a scenario where the buyer misses this deadline. If they do, they lose their unrestricted right to terminate, and their earnest money is at risk if they back out later. During the option period, the buyer can conduct any inspections they deem necessary. If defects are found, the buyer can approach the seller to negotiate repairs or a credit at closing. This is done through a formal amendment to the contract. The exam may present a situation where a seller refuses to make any repairs. Remember, the seller has no obligation to agree to any of the buyer's requests. If no agreement is reached before the option period expires, the buyer's only choices are to proceed with the purchase as is or terminate the contract. Another heavily tested concept is the as-is provision in paragraph 7D. Accepting the property as is means the buyer accepts it in its present condition with all defects. However, this is a major point of confusion and a frequent exam trap. As is does not release the seller from their legal duty to disclose any known material defects. An exam question might describe a seller who knows about a hidden plumbing leak but sells the property as is without mentioning it. The seller is still liable because they failed to disclose a known latent defect. The buyer's agreement to purchase as is does not prevent them from performing inspections or negotiating repairs during the option period. Finally, the seller has a duty to maintain the property until the closing date, allowing for normal wear and tear. If the air conditioning system fails a week before closing, the seller is responsible for repairing it to its original condition. The exam might test this by asking about property damage from a storm before closing. This responsibility falls on the seller. To remember these key points, use this phrase: option to inspect, as is to accept, but always disclose the defects you kept. For free practice questions, AI-powered explanations, and more exam prep tools, visit openexamprep.com. That's openexamprep, all one word, .com.